Hello YouTube, I'm Kevin Bosa and welcome to my channel. In this 1 hour video I will show you step by step how to make maps in Superfighters Deluxe. I know that for some of you it might seem intimidating and hard, but trust me, once you understand the basics, it's not hard at all. And also, lucky for you, in this video I will explain all the basic stuff that you need to know to make maps. But first, let me apologize for my English, because Spanish is my native language. But I'm doing my best for you to understand me anyways. Alright, now let's begin this course with the most simple stuff, but also a really important one, the camera. First of all, open the map editor in the game. When you first see the interface, it might seem difficult and full of stuff, but it's not at all. In the end, all you need to create maps is to drag and drop objects from here to here. That's all. But of course, there is a lot of important stuff that you need to know and understand. There are scripts, there are triggers, there is markers, joins, a lot of stuff. And one very important one is the camera. The camera is the area of your map where everything will happen. There is only one camera, but it's divided in two parts. The green box that you see here is the important area. Everything you put here is gonna be visible as soon as the match starts. You should put all the main parts of your map here. And this white box is the area of the entire full camera. But it's not visible for most people. You can only see this by pressing the key above the tab key. If you do that, it will display the entire camera. In this white area, you should not put anything important where your players can walk or fight on, because a lot of people will not be able to see this area unless they press the key, and it's gonna look weird. You should try to make the main area of your map in the green box, and leave this white area for decoration stuff. I will show you an example so you understand. I already put this cement here, and I want you to know that you can put a zone where your player will show up, so you can try your map, run, test it, and see if it works or not. By going here in this search bar and typing spawn player. Just drag and drop it where you want it. Now, when you try the map, the player will show up here. On this side of the map, crossing the green line, I put a chair. Because the chair is outside the main area, when I test this map, the chair should not even be visible at all. Even though it will still be there, but I won't be able to see it. Let's try it. So, I'm here, I can walk around, and I'm gonna go trying to find the chair to see what happens. I reach the limit where the green line will be, and I can keep walking, but I cannot see myself, and I cannot see the chair. So now you know, everything in the green box will be visible and the rest won't be unless I press the key above the tab. This key right here. And now the entire full camera is visible. Everything on my map, even the white box area. I should also clarify that some people might actually be able to see the full map area without the need to press the key, and that's because of their monitor. If you have a monitor with a small resolution, then you will only see the main green area. But if somebody has a 4K monitor or even 1080p monitor, they might be able to see everything right away without pressing anything. I say that you should not put things outside of the green area, only as a recommendation. If you really want to, you can make a map as big as you want, and you can put things wherever you want. But if you're gonna do that, keep in mind what I just told you. Also, I need to show you what this yellow line does. It's quite simple to understand. This yellow line is the limit of the map. Everything I put above from here will exist in the map. And if I put something below the yellow line, it will get deleted and it won't even exist on the map. So just make sure to put things above this. Otherwise, it's gonna be useless. So now you know how the camera functions, but I still need to show you how to control it by controlling the line limits. So you can make it bigger, smaller, or however you want it. I'm gonna show you first the usual controls. These numbers right here, where it says camera area. Look at this. There is two lines in the area, one red and one blue. This is just simple math. These lines cross each other right at the middle. The middle point is 0, and from here to the right, it's adding up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 to infinity. And from here to the left, it's adding up negative numbers. -1, -2, -3, -4, -5 to infinity. The same is true up and down. From here going down is going in negatives, -1, -2, etc. And from here going up is adding in positives, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, etc. So now if you take a look at the camera area option, you realize the first number controls the top part. If I change this value and instead of being 240, I put 250, now the top part gets larger. It basically means that from here, the 0, to here, there are 250 points of distance now. If I want, I can change it and put 260 points of distance, and it's gonna be even larger. I'm gonna leave it at 240. Now, the second number controls the left side. From 0 to here, there are 320 points of distance in negative numbers. And if I put 150, now there is only 150 points of distance, meaning the distance is smaller, therefore the map shrinks from the left side. The third one controls the bottom. From here to here, there are 250 points of distance. If I put a bigger number, the distance grows larger, and now the bottom grows too. Finally, the last number controls the right. From here to here, there are 320 points of distance. If I put 180, now the distance is smaller. Okay, so that's it. But of course, you can also control the value of the yellow line by going to map bottom. If you change this number for a bigger value, the yellow bottom will go even further down. And if I put a smaller value, it will go up. So, that's the basics of that. But let me tell you all that there is a better method because these controls are not intuitive at all. And sometimes it can get messy. Especially because the map is always trying to keep the aspect ratio and it's not gonna work as expected. So, there is a better way to make the camera easy to use if you ever need to change it. Just go to the search bar and type camera. Find this one that says camera area trigger. Drag it with the mouse and put it anywhere. This box that you see here is the new camera. And look how easy it is to change the size. Just click on the corner, drag and stretch it like you want it, and that's it. You don't have to type the numbers or anything. The original camera will still be visible, so it's annoying and confusing. To fix that, click here on this icon. Now, the original camera controls are nowhere to be seen, only our camera. But it's not activated yet. If you try to play the map, it will still show things in the original camera, and not the new one. For that, you need to go here where it says Activate on Startup, and set it on True. Now, as soon as the game starts, this will be the default camera. Okay, listen. I know that all of this might seem confusing at first, but I don't want you to be confused and think, oh, I don't understand anything, and to just quit, you know? If this is all too complicated for you, then just listen to this next part, because I will do a quick summary, telling you the only important things that you need to create your camera. So, if you want to create a map and have good controls of the camera in case you need it, the first thing you do is search camera, drag and drop this camera area trigger. You can make it the size you want it, and that's it. The green area box is everything you can see as soon as the game starts, and the other part is only visible when you press the key above the tab. I also recommend that you make your very first map the normal size, as the original camera, so you don't get confused, and also because it's a good size. So, activate the original camera controls. Now, stretch your own camera to make it the same size, and now you can deactivate the original camera controls again. Finally, a step that you should always do is lock the camera by going here where it says markers, and down here it says new layer. Just double click it and change the name. Put camera, so that you know the camera is on this layer. Now go here where this lock icon is and check the box. Now the camera is locked and you won't accidentally click it. If you don't do this step, you will accidentally click on the camera all the time. Please make sure to do it. You don't need to understand how this layer thing works now, because I will explain all of this later. Just do what I did. And of course, remember to activate it on startup, so it will use this camera and not the other one. That's all about the camera, alright? Perfect. Now that you know how to control and use the camera, we can continue. So let's start adding stuff inside your map. The objects, everything that will be composing your map. But first, before we move on, I ask you that please remember to save the progress, because if you don't, anything you do will be lost, and we don't want that to happen. I imagine you already know how to save a project, but just in case, go to File, Save As, pick a name for your project, and just save it. That's it. Let's take a look at all the different categories of things you can put in your map. The first one is called Far Background. It's exactly as it sounds. All the things from this category will be super far away in the background. Pretty much it's all for decoration stuff, to make your map look better. Examples of what you'll find here are the sun, the moon, clouds, buildings, etc. And because they are so far away, none of this stuff are solid, meaning you can't touch them with your player, you can't shoot at them, they are only here for decorating. The next one is background, and it's pretty much the same as far background, but the difference is that this one is actually just a little bit closer. They are not stuff that are so far away like the moon, sun, but instead they are a little bit closer in the background. Like for example, the textures of a wall, machinery, art, statues, a lot of stuff. Also, none of these are solids, you can't touch them. Now we have the next category, solids. Because they are solids, you can actually touch them with your player and shoot at this stuff. And in here you'll find all the stuff to make the very basic structure of your map, meaning all the walls, ground, etc. With this you can start building the places where your players will walk and fight on. Stuff like sand, dirt, rocks, etc. Then we have objects. It's almost the same as solids, but this one is not for the ground, walls or roof. It's more for the objects that will be inside the map. For example, barrels, tables, beds, boxes, etc. Following up, we have debris, and it's exactly that. It's all the debris from buildings or broken stuff. For example, pieces of wood, pieces of glass, and also pieces of meat from dead bodies. Then we have PRL. In this one, there is only one thing, and that's the drone. Not the box of the drone, but the drone by itself, already flying. I don't know why it has its own category, but it does. Then we have the category items. It's almost like objects, but this one is only for stuff that the player can pick up and use. There's for example the chair, the pillow, the briefcase, and also all the weapons like shotgun, pistol, magnum, etc. Then we have items active. There is only 4 things in this one. It's the bombs, but they all come already activated. Like for example, you have the grenades, but if you put a grenade from this category, it's already activated, because as soon as the match starts, these grenades will blow up. Also, if you put a Molotov, as soon as the match starts, they will explode into fire. So, if you want to put the normal grenades, take them from the category items and not items active. And last but not least, the category foreground. These stuff are for creating and decorating your map, but they are in the foreground, meaning closer to the player. In here, you'll find, for example, the giant boat, the wheel for construction. You can also find here the water and the acid for your map, and stuff like that. There's 2 more categories, but we won't be covering them right now. I'll explain those 2 later. Now that you know all the categories, I will explain quickly how layers work. I'm gonna add a Zeppelin here, which is from the category far background. Now that I did that, you'll notice that here, where it says layers, there is a new box that says far background. And in this category, there is a layer called new layer. Automatically, the Zeppelin was added to the layer of its category. And any new object from this category that I put now will continue to get added here, in this layer. For example, if I put a building, it will also be in this layer. I will also add some clouds, and I don't know, maybe I want to add the sun too. But what happens if I try to move the Zeppelin? You'll notice that the Zeppelin is below the other stuff. For example, the sun is covering it, and that's weird. I don't want that. And for that reason, we have layers, to have an order. Which things I want to be visible first or behind the others. In this case, if I want the Zeppelin to be in front of the other stuff, I have to put it on its own separate layer. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna select this layer, and as you can see, it automatically selects all the elements inside the layer. They show up highlighted in yellow, and in this case, it will be all the objects because it's pretty much the only layer there is. So now I'm gonna change the layer name by double clicking it and writing building, cloud and sun. And now I'm gonna select the Zeppelin and I delete it by pressing the delete key. Then I press this icon here that says new layer and I will name it Zeppelin. I drag the Zeppelin now with this layer selected, and now if I click this layer it will highlight only the Zeppelin because it's now on its own separate layer. And if I click the other layer, it will highlight all the other objects, but not this one because they are in another layer. Now as you can see, the Zeppelin is in front of the sun and is not covered by it. But what if I change my mind at some point and I decide that I do want the Zeppelin behind the sun? Well, all I have to do is change the layers order by using these two arrow signs. I select the layer I want and now I press this one and now the layer is below the other one, just like that. And if I want, I can change it back by using this one. So that's how you order things using layers. Quite simple to understand. Finally, I had to clarify, the order of the categories also matters. I can create layers inside the same category and make an order of how these objects will cover one another, but only inside this specific category. For example, the ladder is from the category solids, and that takes priority over the background layer, and I cannot change that because they are different categories. But for example, if I put a barrel in front of the stair, the barrel will take priority because objects always take priority over solids. I hope you understood. Now let's continue. Let's say that I have many stuff on my map, many barrels and ladders, and I know I already put the barrels where I want them, and I'm not planning on moving them anymore. But sometimes, by accident, I click on them, and I do move them, and it's annoying. To fix that, if I go to the layer where those barrels are, and I click on this checkbox behind this lock, now the layer is locked, and I can't move them, even if I click on them. All the objects on that layer are now blocked. That's perfect. You should use this lock icon to avoid clicking on things by accident. That's the reason why I asked you to lock the camera before, because if you don't, you will accidentally click the camera all the time. Great, I hope you understood. So now let's continue with the good stuff. I'm gonna add some objects now, finally, and I'm gonna show you the basic controls. If I need to zoom, I can do it by using this right here, or by using the mouse wheel. And if I need to move the view of the map, then I can press and hold the space bar and just move my mouse. It's easy. Now keep this in mind. You can change the color of objects by going here and selecting the color you want. Some objects don't allow for color change, so if you don't see any colors when you click here, that's the reason. Now I'm gonna start by adding some kind of ground or cement. I put it right here, and now with these symbols that you see here, I can stretch it and make it bigger or smaller. I stretch it over here or here, wherever I want. This is how you can put many tiles of the same stuff to make your shop faster. Also, you can rotate anything by right-clicking it and going here and picking the rotation you want. But it's always in 90 degrees. So if you want to rotate more freely, just go to one of the corners and press the right click and hold it. Now you can move the mouse and it will rotate freely. I'm gonna speed up my progress so the video is not that long. Check it out, I already found a problem. It won't let me move this by only one pixel because all the objects move square by square, tile by tile. And I want to make this fit perfectly. So how can I do that? I need to go here to this magnet icon and uncheck it. Now I can move anything by only one pixel using the arrow keys, and that's perfect. That's what this magnet is for. Now I'm gonna check it back again. Nice. Now that you know the basic controls, I'll add objects and I'll start building like a concept of my map so you can see how I do it. And I want you to do the same. Start building the very basic concept and structure of your map. Try not copying my map. Make your own so you can create and learn. But if you do want to copy it, that's fine too. Anyway, let's go. Check it out. This is the very first basic structure of my map. It looks quite good, right? It's pretty basic. I wasn't trying to do something great. It was just an example to show you all. Now let's start adding cool stuff. I'm now going to show you how to put the portals, the teletransporter doors that take you from one place to another, and the exits to grab, and also invisible objects, etc. So these are the doors I'm talking about. You'll see that there are three different ones, but they all do the same. The only difference is the arrow in the drawing pointing up or down, but it's the same, so don't worry about that. I'm gonna put one down here and another one up here. Done, they are in the map. But they won't do anything. You need to connect them, and it's super easy to do. Just select the first door, and here where it says Destination Portal, you click that, and click the other door, and that's it. They are now connected, but you need to keep this in mind. Check this out. Here it says Enter Direction and Exit Direction. The enter direction is the direction left or right that the player is pointing at when he enters the door. So in this case, the enter direction should be in the right, because your player will come here through this door looking at the right, and the exit direction should be left, because he will come out of the other door looking at left. So that's done. I'm gonna test the map now, and you'll notice that we are still not quite done. There is something else to do. Check it out. I'm gonna put play here, and here I am. I walk normally and I enter the door, and I exit here from the left. That's perfect. Everything works fine, but here's the deal. If I want to go back through this door up here, back down, I can't. That's because the door from downstairs is connected to this door up here, but the door up here is not connected to anything. We have to connect them both. So now let's do that. Click the other door upstairs, go to Destination Portal, select the door downstairs, and now the directions. As the player, I enter looking right and I exit looking at left. That's it. It works just fine now. Let's try it. So that's how you use the doors. Okay, now I want to show you something different. You already know how to put up a wall. What you don't know is how to make them so you can climb them. Let's say I come over here and I jump with my player. I can grab here because it's a corner, and that's fine. But what if I want to grab from this wall? I can't. But don't worry, it's easy to do. Go to the search bar and write ledge. You have this. Put it in the wall wherever you want your players to be able to grab. I'm gonna put 3 or 4 to show you. And that's it. Done. I can come here with my player and grab now. Perfect. See how easy it was? Okay, let's move on now with something else. Invisible objects. It is very important that you understand invisible objects. And what are they? They are exactly that. They are tiles or squares that are there but you can't see them. And even though you can't see them, they are still there. And they are still solid anyways. So you can actually touch them with your player and you cannot go through them. In the search bar, write invisible. And here are all the invisible objects. The first one is called just invisible block. It's the most common and useful. You put it wherever you want, you make it bigger or smaller, you can make like a wall or something. And now if you want to cross here with a player, you won't go through it. Look, you can't even make bullets go through this one. Now, the second one is called invisible block object only. It's the same as the other one, but the difference is that bullets will go through this one. You as a player will not, and other objects will not go through this either. The only thing that will get through this is a bullet. Then we have invisible explosion blocker, and this one will let everything go through it. You, the player, the bullets too, everything can go through here. Except an explosion, meaning if you put this and there is an explosion, the explosion will get blocked by this and you as a player will not suffer any damage by the explosion. Let's get going. This one called invisible block small, I think is exactly the same as the first one. The only difference will be that it's just one alone and you can stretch it and put many of these. It's made to put only one and not a lot of them. If you want to put a lot, you have to copy it and paste it one by one. So it's pretty much useless. You are better off using the first one. Then we have invisible block no collision. This one you probably will never use it. It's useful if you are an advanced scripter and know what you're doing with scripts, but for normal map makers that don't know any scripting, you probably won't use this one. So I won't explain it here. The next one is invisible ladder, and it's exactly that. It's like a ladder. Wherever you put this, you will be able to climb it as if there was a ladder here. And the last one is invisible platform. And this one is a solid that you can walk and jump as if it were the ground, but it's one of those platforms that you can actually step off them by pressing 2 times down the arrow key. You can also get on them by jumping, like this. Well, now that you understood what invisible objects are used for, I want to tell you that they are super useful also for making solid objects out of things that are not solids. What do I mean by this? Remember when I told you that the stuff in the category background or fire background are not solids and you can't touch them? Well, now you can make those solids. If I go to the category background and I look this up, just a piece of wood. Well, if I make like a wall with this, when I go with the player through here, I can pass it and move through it. But if I grab an invisible object and I put it in the same place as this, now it will keep the sensation that this wooden thing is solid, and I will actually crash into it now, and I cannot get through it. Using this method, you can create a bunch of stuff that you wouldn't have been able to do before. Okay, now, I also want to show you how you can create new things and objects by drawing them, and using your creativity. Let's say that I'm making a house and I want to put it in a fridge. I wouldn't be able to because there is no fridge in SFD. Well, I can draw one and make it myself. If I go to the category background and I look for window, I can grab for example this and make it white. I can make a big square or rectangle, this will be the body of the fridge, and then with this other thing I can make some black borders and the handle to open it. And then, if I want, I can put an invisible object to make it solid. Now, if I were inside the kitchen of the house, this will look more or less like a fridge. I'm not an artist, so I'm not the best at drawing things, but trust me when I say that I have seen many people create some beautiful artwork using this method. It's up to you and your imagination. Now, I want to show you how you can write text in the maps. It's super easy. Go to the search bar and write text. You'll get 3 different ones. Let's try the first one. You drag it to the map and here where it says text, you can write your text. I'm gonna write heladera, which means fridge in Spanish. Here where it says scale, you can change the size by changing the number. You can actually make it bigger or smaller. And if you want, you can even write like 0.5 decimal numbers. And here you can change the text color. Keep in mind that this one, the first one, says background, so it will always be in the background. If you put an object in front of it, it will get covered by it. So you can use this last one to make it always appear in the front. This one is exactly the same, but it will always show up in the front. The one in the middle is only for making annotations, meaning you can write text here, but only for you. It will only be visible in the map editor and nothing else. So you probably will never use this one. Okay, so now let's go with another super important subject. Markers. What are they? They are something that you can put in your map to make so many things. And I really mean many things. With the markers, you can create portals, make vehicles, make hidden rooms, so many things. And also, I want you to know what a trigger is. A trigger is inside the category of markers, so it's a type of marker. It's called trigger because it's like a trigger of a gun. When you have a gun in real life, the gun is there and nothing happens until you press the trigger. And then boom, a shot is fired. That's how these triggers work. They make stuff happen only when they are activated. That's why they are called triggers. What are the things that you can make happen with triggers? Well, so many things. You can make a trigger that gets activated and makes an explosion happen. Another one that when it gets activated, it makes a bot speak, another one that makes a player die, a lot of things. So basically, a trigger is that. It's something that activates or deactivates certain events in the map or game. And in this video, I will show you the most useful and common markers. I won't show you all of them because there are a lot and I also don't even understand every single one of them. But I show you the most useful and basic ones, so don't worry. Let's start. Go to the category markers and here they are. This is the first one. I already showed you what this one does. It's to put the zones where your players will be. Look, I put it in the map and now when I put play, I show up in the spot. Something to keep in mind is that you should put at least 8 in your map, because it's the maximum of players for any map. If you put 8 and 8 people enter to play, then everything will be okay. But if you don't, let's say that you only put 7, one of the players who enter the game will start the match dead immediately, because that person doesn't have a spot to start playing on. Also, keep in mind that if you create a game and put bots, the bots will also use this spot too. Okay, let's get going with the second one, spawn weapon. It's for making a gun appear wherever you put this marker. Just put it anywhere and a random weapon will show up in that spot from time to time. Let's try it. See? You can also change the chances of every weapon of showing up. If you click the marker, you'll see the options. As you can see, all the weapons are listed here with the number -1. This number means that the gun has the normal chances of showing up. If you put 0, it will never show up. It means 0 chances of spawning. If you put a positive number to any weapon, that will get more chances of showing up. So it will probably spawn more often than the other weapons. Then we have spawn unknown. This one spawns a random object just like the name says. Down here you have the list of objects that can pop up using this trigger. Boxes, barrels, gas tank, chair, table, etc. You can also change the spawning chances using the numbers here. Let's continue now with destroy targets. This one is useful for destroying certain objects after a specific object is destroyed. For example, I want to make it so that if for any reason this gas tank explodes, then the bridge right next to it breaks too, giving the feeling that the explosion destroyed the bridge. Okay, for that, first I select the gas tank. And check this out. This is something that every single object has. A type. Static or dynamic. If you put it in static, nothing can make this object move. It will always be still no matter what happens to it. Even if I kick it or punch it, it just won't move. And if the object is dynamic, it can move normally. So if I punch it or kick it, it will move. In this case, I want to put it static because I want to keep the feeling that it's stuck between the bridge and the ground. And that's why it's not moving. Okay, so now returning to the marker. I put the marker here and in the options where it says trigger destroy objects, I have to select the objects that will get destroyed and then and only then make the other objects destroy themselves. So I click it and then I select the gas tank. And down here in terminate objects, I have to select the objects to destroy. So I click it and then select parts of the bridge. So now let's try it. If I shoot the tank, it explodes and destroys the bridge. Perfect. Now I'm going to show you another simple one, player spawn area. And it's exactly that, an area where players can show up, but not human being players, only bots. This thing is useful mostly if you want to do something like a survival map or a campaign map, so I won't explain it completely now. Then we have player spawn trigger. This one also is for putting a bot, but this one is very specific because you can specify everything about the bot. You can give the bot a name, you can tell it which weapon you want the bot to have, you can do a lot of things. Again, this is useful for campaigns and survivals, which is something that I will not cover on this video. Then we have spawn item trigger. It also makes the gun appear, but it's different from spawn weapon because the other one made the gun appear at random moments. This trigger, you can choose to activate it at a specific events and it will only make a gun appear when it gets activated. For example, I can make a button that when you press it, it activates the trigger, so it gives you a gun. Let's make it. First, I put the spawn item trigger here. Okay, now I search button and I put it wherever I want. I select the button and in the options it has one called active triggers, meaning with this, once you press the button, it will activate whatever triggers you want. So I click here and I select the spawn item trigger. So now, every time I press the button, it activates the other trigger, and that one gives me a gun. Also, you can modify the chances of a weapon, so with this you can make like a specific button to give you a specific weapon or whatever you want. Moving on, we have spawn weapon area. With this you can make an area that will have boxes falling from the sky, with weapons or whatever. You just put the sun wherever you want it, and then when you play, boxes will fall from the sky from time to time. Now, projectile deflect zone. It's used for making a place where bullets will bounce back at you. I can make, for example, a wall using this, and now if I shoot at it, the bullets will bounce. Okay, so now I want to show you something. I'm gonna put play on my map and look, if I go with my player and I throw myself in the water, he dies and everything. But you see, it didn't do any splash in the water, no water splash. And no zone either. That's because you need to put a marker there, so that the game knows where it is you want the splash to be. In markers, look for the one named water zone, and you just put it here. Now, when the player touches that area, it will do the splash. The one that says acid zone, it's also exactly for the same, but only for the acid, so it will be green. Now, I'm gonna very quickly mention some other simple markers, but I'm not going to really explain them, I'm just going to tell you what they do so that you know. Active trigger. This is exactly what the name suggests. You can activate another trigger by using this trigger. It's useful for many things, and it's simple to understand. Teleporter triggers. It's exactly what you think. It's for making whatever place you want a portal, that when the player touches that place, he will get teleported somewhere else. Timer triggers. It's for making things happen every certain time. It's simple to understand. Dialogue trigger is for making the dialogues of the bots, for making campaigns and all that. Okay, I think we are done explaining some basic triggers now. Let's continue with joins. Another super important topic. What are the joins? They are also another type of markers that is used mostly for making paths and any type of movement you want in the map. Basically, they are used for moving things. With this, you can make the elevators, the wheel from the amusement park, and stuff like that. You can also join and weld things together. I'm not going to explain all of them, but I will explain the basics so you understand, at least the most important ones. We're gonna build a very basic elevator together. An elevator that only moves up and down and doesn't even stop, but it's just an example to show you what you can do. In the search bar, write joins. You'll get all the joins here. Look for the one named elevator path join. This one is used for making the paths of the elevators. You need to put one up here and another one down here. Now I select one of them, in this case the one up here. And in the options where it says next elevator path joins, I select the other one, the one I want it connected to make the path. Now I have to connect the one down here to the one up here, so I do the same with this one. Now the path is done, but if I were to put play to the game, it won't move at all, because we never told the elevator that it needs to use this path, and also we didn't even put the motor in it. So for that you need to use elevator attachment joint. It's the joint that will let us attach a path to an elevator. We put it, and now here in target object we click it and select the object we want to use as elevator. And in the other one named elevator path join, we select the first one in the path. So now the elevators is gonna move up and down no stop. Another thing, in the options we can control the speed of the elevator, using this one called motor speed. We can make it slower or faster. I'm gonna put it at 10 to show you. See? But this is way too fast, so I'm gonna leave it at 3. Also, in the options of elevator path join, here where it says line visual, you can select from a list of line times to make it look better. For example, this one, elevator wire. You can select it and now you can see the wire here. Or if you want, you don't have to use any lines at all. Okay, so now I put another elevator just like this one to complete my map. And we are done with these elevators. Obviously, you can make elevators way better than this and also add timers to make them stop or even buttons. But this is just the basics, so we won't cover that in this video. Let's move on. I'm gonna show you how you can make, using joints, the hanging crates, like in the official maps. First, in the search bar, write hanging. And I'm gonna pick this one. You can really pick any object. It doesn't have to be a box, but for this example, I use this. I'm gonna put this one that says hanging crate holder on top of it. If I play the game, nothing will happen. It's all separate and I can even kick the placeholder. So, go to joints and use this one that says distant joints. With this one, you can make lines to join together things. And also, we're gonna need a target object joint. It's basically a join to select objects. First, put the target object and in the options, you need to select which object you want this join to be attached to. So in this case, use it to select the placeholder. You need to make sure to put the join exactly right on top of the object. Otherwise, the line is gonna be weird and it's not gonna look good. Deactivate the magnet to achieve the perfect spot. Now, put the distance joint in the ceiling and all you gotta do now is connect it using this option, target joint, and connecting it to the joint we put before, the target joint. And here I can pick the line type. I'm gonna select the chain. That's it. I'm gonna put play and look what happens. The chain is there and it's connected to the placeholder, but the placeholder is not connected to anything, so the box fell. For that, we can use a weld joint to weld them together. I put the weld joint and here where it says target objects, I select both things, the box and the holder. That's done. We can try it now. It works perfect. So, we're finally done with the map. I personally don't want to add anything else to my map. Let's say that you also finish your map and you're ready to show your map to the world. The first thing you gotta do is save it. I imagine you already did that by now, but remember to do it please, otherwise you lose everything. Go to File, Save As, and save it in the folder you want. The folder by default to put playable maps is Documents, Superfighters Deluxe, Maps. Okay, now I'm gonna explain to you something useful. The games in Steam, in case you didn't know, have something called Workshop. It's where the players can upload and share things made inside any game. In the case of Super Fighters, you'll find all the maps and scripts that players make. You need to have the original version of the game to use this, otherwise you won't be able to use it. Well, to upload your map there and make sure everyone can play it, make sure to have all the data and info of your map correctly. Click anywhere so you don't have anything selected, and down here you'll get the map info. In author, put your name or whatever name you want, so people know who made it. In name, put a name for your map, and a description down here. This one is the picture of your map, and it's also the first impression someone will have when they look for maps and they see it. So make sure to have a good picture. It's easy to make, just take a screenshot of your full map, save it in any image editor like Paint or whatever, and here is the important part. The resolution must be 720 by 360 when you save it. Done. Okay, so here listen to me. The map that we made in Discord is a versus map, so select versus if you made a versus map too. Make sure to catalog your maps correctly because that can cause trouble and confusion if you don't. This option, template map, if it's activated, you can only play this map in the editor, but nothing else, so make sure to have it off. Now here, if your map is an adventure map, you select it. If your map has bot support, you also make sure to select it. If it's only for meal, then you select it. If you can play it alone with no one else, pick it. In this case, it's a versus multiplayer map, so I will pick this one. Last but not least, here it says weather. If you select rain, it will rain in your map, and if you select snow, it will snow in your map. Nothing else. The rest is okay. Make sure to close your map. It won't let you upload it if it's open. Go here where it says Steam Workshop, and select File, and pick your map file. All the stuff you just wrote and pick are here. You can change them from here as well. Everything is fine, so just press upload and that's it. The map is uploaded to the Steam Workshop and people can find it. I just want to say that not everyone has the original game. A lot of people get it from other places. So the only way to share a map if you don't have the original game is to share the file. This file right here. You can upload it to Mega or Megafire or whatever you want and share it. There is also a website called SFSD Maps. It used to be amazing, filled with so many maps, and it still is, but unfortunately I think the people who made it gave up on it, because they usually never approve new maps being uploaded in the site. Anyways, the site is still good to find maps. There is still so many content there that got uploaded before, so I leave you the link in the description if you want to try it. Okay, that's it. We are done with the course, nothing else left to say. Of course, there are so many things that I didn't explain and that you are yet to learn, but this was just the basics to get you going. You'll learn more as you make more stuff and find answers on the internet. I wanted to make this course because I think literally no one else have done a course in English explaining everything on how to make maps. I could only find tutorials in Russian and Spanish when I look in YouTube, so I did this one. Also, just a note. My native language is Spanish, so I upload all my videos in Spanish. This is probably the only video that I'll make in English, so if you expect to see more tutorials from me in English and you want to subscribe for that, just don't do it because I won't upload any more things in English. At least I don't think I will. I only made this one in English because I thought it was important to have a good tutorial for map making in English. Anyways, I know that my English is not the best and that it's not easy to understand me, but I hope you were able to find some use to this video, because it took me a lot of effort to make. Please consider helping the channel by commenting something, leaving a like, etc. I sure hope you create awesome stuff now with what you learn and start making great maps. Goodbye guys!